Hello, I'm so excited to be talking to you today about the topic of weaning your baby. So, I breastfed for 18 months, and by the end of it, around 16 months, I made the goal to end it by 18 months. So, that was because uh, I was already starting to lower my breast milk supply, and also I just wasn't sleeping very well because he was still taking night feedings. He was waking up 2 to 3 hours every 2 to 3 hours at nighttime, and it was becoming too much. And after so long of having a lot of sleep deprivation, I was ready to end the breastfeeding relationship and to have my body back to myself. So maybe you're considering having the weaning relationship end right now, or to start weaning your baby. So I'm going to give you some tips from my own personal experience and also some other tips that I've found. So the first thing that you're really going to want to consider is that, do you have any other big changes that are going on in your life or your baby's life right now that might make it more stressful to end the breastfeeding relationship? So if you just started a new childcare provider, or you moved homes, or new people are living in your house, maybe you started working and your baby just started daycare for the first time. So there's a lot of things that could mean. But if there's a big change in your baby's life, you might want to wait and hold out a little bit to just have that comfort level for your child until they transition into that big change. Another thing that you're going to want to think about is that you need to give yourself time to change. I think for myself, between when I actually started weaning and when I completed it, it was a month. So you don't want to just decide, I'm going to stop breastfeeding, or I'm going to take my baby off the bottle and do it immediately. You want to make sure that your baby has enough time to transition, they become used to it, and then it will happen naturally over time. So the next thing is, excuse me. So, I'm so sorry, I'm coughing. So, when you're paying attention to your baby will start giving you cues that they're ready and to start weaning, surgeon feedings. So, if they're more interested in playing, or if they're suckling but they're not actually drinking, and you can tell that difference if you're breastfeeding or if you're bottle feeding. But you should be able to tell if your baby is less interested and just playing around. So that is going to be the feeding that you focus on first to take away from their schedule. And you will replace it with a sippy, or you could use an open cup. I personally didn't want to have a mess, and so I just moved my baby to a sippy. And that worked for us. But for some people, their babies are really good at holding, and the cup, they're not worried about the cup getting spilled, or they just don't want to have the sippy cup top, or there could be just, I'm so sorry, my mind blanked. Your baby might be just really good at holding a cup, and you feel comfortable with that. So it will teach your child how to swallow without having to sip first or suck first. So it's a good idea, and you could try it. And you don't have to, though. So the next thing is that I personally started with the night feedings. So I decided I wasn't going to feed my baby until the morning time. And that actually helped to lessen my milk supply, which helped the rest of it to happen. So I corresponded sleep training with my first week of reducing night feedings. And I will do another video about how to do sleep training. But for me, I just fed him at nighttime, breastfed him at nighttime, and then if he was upset at nighttime, I would come and comfort him, but I would explain to him, I'm not going to feed you from the breast, and I know you're sad, and with sleep training, you have to get used to your baby crying, but they will get used to it and they will adjust. And so once I had accomplished eradicating the night feedings, the next feedings that I eradicated were the ones in between breakfast, lunch, and bedtime. So gradually I just replaced those with sippy cups. Then next I took away the lunch feeding, and so he's just getting breakfast, he's waking up with milkies, and bedtime with the breastfeeding. So you just want to gradually just remove the feedings and replace them with a sippy cup. And over time, I think it was probably two weeks it took me to get him all the way down to just the bedtime feeding. And that one, by that time, my milk supply had really reduced. And so what I was able to do was I would have the sippy cup on hand. I would breastfeed him until he would get frustrated because there wasn't any more. And then I would give him the sippy to finish it off. And gradually, after about a week, then he was able to just take the sippy. He was more used to having that as part of his nighttime ritual. And he was more comfortable with it because he had gotten used to it during the daytime. And it happened naturally because I didn't force him to do it really rapidly. If your baby is just really wanting to suckle on something, then you can allow them to suck their thumb or their fingers, or give them a pacifier. That's a good comfort item. Also, you can comfort your baby by giving them, if you and the baby are just missing that cuddling time that you get while you're nursing or you're bottle feeding, just hold your baby while they're sipping on their sippy. Or if you just want to just give them more cuddles and read to them or sing to them, that's another good option. You don't have to just, when you're ending the breastfeeding, you don't have to just stop holding your baby as much. You can hold them as much, but just replace an activity with what used to be the breastfeeding or the bottle feeding. And another way to comfort your baby is just to give them a comfort item, like a doll or a blanket to hold. So those are things that you might want to do. The biggest thing that helped for me was just to use the e-parenting, which I discussed yesterday, which is where you're empathetically parenting. You're explaining to your child, oh, I'm so sorry that you're disappointed right now that you can't breastfeed, and mommy knows that you're sad about it, but we're moving on. You're growing up, and part of growing up is change. And so you're learning how to drink from a sippy, and that's good. And it's healthy for both of us. And so I just explained that. And I know that maybe a lot of people are like, well, he's a baby, he wouldn't understand. It's more about the emotions and about him being understood. I know you're sad. I know that you're disappointed. And that will really help your baby to feel that you're not punishing him, you're just moving forward, and you recognize that it's hard for both of you. So I hope that helped you, anyone who is working on weaning, or gave you some advice for the future if you're thinking of what it's going to be like as a parent, and being prepared for parenthood. So I hope that you have a blessed day, and if you have any questions about weaning, you can message me, or if you want to know how I'm working to achieve financial freedom from home, I would love to talk to you, and I hope anyone who watched this is helped by it. Ciao, nos vemos.